Welcome to GPS Online. I'm your host, Zevar Qasim. The Kurds are the largest ethnic group without a state. They are spread throughout the hotspots of the Middle East, northern Iraq, Iran, Syria, Turkey. I'm joined today by the Prime Minister of the Kurdistan Regional Government of Iraq, Prime Minister Barham Salh. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You've said on numerous occasions that the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Iraq would be utterly disastrous. Right now, U.S. troops are stationed at some of the pivotal points which divide Iraqi Kurdistan from the rest of Iraq.
We have to work very hard to ensure that the political and security vacuum that will be left by American forces will be filled by Iraqi people.
Are you worried about Iran filling the vacuum left by the U.S.?
I have to be worried. We live in a tough neighborhood, and I think there is everything in flux in the Middle East, whether it is Iran, Turkey, the Arab world, and Iraq is a pivotal state. We want good relations with Iran. Iran is an important neighbor of ours, but by the same token, we say to Iran, we say to other neighbors of Iraq, you should invest in the free will of the Iraqi people. Domination, interference in domestic affairs won't do, because this will only be sowing the seeds for more trouble and more conflict and more tensions.
For so long, these countries have benefited, or thought they've benefited, by playing off proxy battles within Iraq. How do you convince them that now is the time to invest in a stable Iraq?
First and foremost, we need to tell all of our neighbors this consistent message. You were all victims of Saddam Hussein. Saddam's Iraq was a problem not only for the Iraqi people, but also a problem for the entire region. Now we have an opportunity to build in an Iraq that is at peace with itself and at peace with its neighbors.
Was it worth it, 8 years of war later?
No doubt about it, from my perspective, and this is, I cannot speak for Americans, and I know the issue of the war is a very difficult issue for Americans. Going to war is never an easy option, but in the case of Iraq was the only option to get rid of Saddam Hussein.
Let's switch gears to Turkey, an important regional neighbor that over the past few months has intervened in northern Iraq to go after Kurdish nationalist forces that have used terror to kill Turkish soldiers, numerous civilians. Now, is the Kurdistan regional government cooperating with Turkey in its interventions into northern Iraq?
These issues cannot be solved by military means. These issues cannot be solved by violence. There has to be a political track. This initiative that the Turkish government has started, the democratization process needs to be enhanced, deepened, in order to ensure that this long-standing conflict is resolved in a definitive way.
Do you think the Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK, is getting significant support from Syria or Iran?
This goes around across the world. You know, when in situations of conflict, others try to take advantage of it. I'm not suggesting that there is no elements of regional collaboration with the PKK, or for that matter, other parties in that part of the world. Definitely, this is the Middle East, and you know, everybody's looking at ways of maximizing influence and using leverage against the state versus the other. This is the reality.
Why don't we talk briefly about Syria? Kurds comprise about 10% of Syria's population, but have not so far been particularly active in the opposition. What is the role of Kurds in Syria?
Obviously, we are eyeing what is happening in Syria with immense interest. As far as the Kurds of Syria are concerned, they are active. We impress upon them from our vantage point to stay away from any violent acts, to try and be part of the opposition, but also promote a process of dialogue that will end in what we hope to be a democratic, free Syria.
Without Assad?
This is not for me to decide. We do not want, the way I look at it, we are a neighbor of Syria. We do not want to interfere in the domestic affairs of Syria. But I can tell you definitively, one-party rule dictatorships are over.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you.